My next guests are owners of wonderful dogs. In fact, you'd have to be barking mad not to love this story, although I'm somewhat biased when it comes to dogs, has to be said. Every dog has its day, and out of nearly 400 canines from Whangarei to Invercargill, we have discovered Greta and Muddy. Now, Greta is from Hamilton City Council's reading buddy dog, and Muddy is an ex-avalanche dog in the South Island from Rolleston, and they have both been crowned this year's top dog with a job, and that's Greta, and top office dog, and that's Muddy, in the FrogRecruitment top dog competition. So joining me now are their owners, Kate Hill and Catherine Hughes. Kia ora korua, congratulations. Kate, we'll start with you. Are you, I guess, basking in a bit of reflected glory tonight?
Oh, yes, we are. I haven't actually had a glass of wine yet, but that's coming next.
So tell us a wee bit about your gorgeous Labrador Golden Retriever. Is it a cross dog? Is it a Labrador Golden Retriever? Or
She's a Labrador Retriever. Oh, we were very fortunate to be able to adopt her in 2018. She was a guide dog. And so we just felt very lucky to get her. And having got this beautifully trained animal, I then thought, what sort of employment can I find for her? And stumbled across the idea of the reading buddies, which really appealed to me.
Oh, that's just fantastic. And Greta, she was a G-litter dog.
She was a G-litter dog, that's right, because you know all about this, I'm sure, because of your dog, Dexter.
Well, Dexter, but we actually had a K-litter dog called
did you?
Yes. Koe Marama. And at the time we were told, I think Koe Marama means to look for the light, so that seemed so appropriate. That's what we named her, Koe, because we lived there. And we had her as we puppy walked her, and she went away to be a guide dog in Invercargill with a wonderful guy called Stuart Craig, and then after 10 years she came back to us and spent her last unfortunately spent her last just few months because she was quite ill when she got back to us, but she stayed back, so that completed the circle. But we're very, very fond of the guide dogs and the work they do, and beautiful dogs.
Well, it is. I mean, they don't get any government funding.
No, indeed. And it's really just the generosity of people to keep them going. And fortunately, the puppies are kind of appealing.
Oh, very, very appealing. Yes. So that was how it all started with the reading buddies. And she had to have an hour-long videoed audition, you might say, that was then analysed by an animal psychologist. Lots of challenges, but I mean, it was easy for her because she'd done all that sort of thing with the guide dogs.
So used to working and being reliable and
being reliable. And,
exactly.
Yeah, she's very chilled. She doesn't frighten easily or get worried by people behaving strangely or anything like that. She just takes it all in her stride.
Wonderful. Well, we'll move on and have a chat about Muddy. So, Catherine, tell us a wee bit about your collie cross.
Well, so Muddy, actually, I'm a veterinary surgeon. So he was actually brought into a clinic that I was working at when he was a year old, with the intention that he was to be euthanized, because he was a bit of a problem for the family that had him. But he was such a lovely dog that fortunately the owners signed him over to the clinic. And I'm a big softie and I ended up taking him home with me.
Does that happen often?
Of my current animals, 3 out of the 4 are ones that I've taken home from work.
Oh, lovely. Oh, it shows a good, kind heart, Catherine, so well done you. And what about...
Well, I've been repaid in spades. So.
I bet you have. And tell us about... she was, did you say, an ex-avalanche dog?
Yeah, so after I'd taken him home, I'm quite involved in the avalanche search and rescue community, and I ended up taking him with me as a spare dog to a training camp. And one of the trainers saw him and thought he was pretty special, so they tested him and decided that he was just the thing. So we ended up getting signed up to start training, and a couple of pretty intense years later, we became an operational avalanche search and rescue team.
Wow, that's good. And any great stories you can tell relating to your avalanche work?
We didn't actually. Well, luckily, in some ways, didn't have to go out on a find. But lots of hard work done in the training and just being ready the whole time to deploy, because it's such a time sensitive job. But I'm still involved with.
Oh, fantastic! For an assessment camp, so you'll be looking at dogs that could qualify.
Absolutely. So every single year, our avalanche dog teams have to attain a certain standard. So they get retested and requalified every single year.
So how old is our boy Muddy?
Well, he will be turning 14 at the end of this year. So he's quite an old chap.
My goodness, what a great age that is.
He surely is, yeah. And he even though he's retired from searching, he's now a qualified St. John therapy dog. So we go every couple of weeks to a placement with adults with intellectual disabilities, and he loves it and they love it, and it's one of the highlights of our week.
Oh, I bet it is. And so getting back to Catherine and your wonderful character, your lovely Greta, as an ex-guide dog, you do this, visiting people who...
So we go into schools and we go into libraries and we sit with the children and listen to them read their books and read their stories. So children come in and they might be perhaps feeling not very confident with the reading, but they've got a totally non-judgmental person there. Well, that includes me as well, but Greta particularly. And she rolls over on her back and she can be petted and stroked. And it just sort of breaks down a few barriers, really, I think, if they are feeling tense about reading. And we've also had some interesting cases with children who were really completely, almost paranoid with fear of dogs, and managed to get over that. One boy in particular just really couldn't even approach her. And then after a couple of terms, he's lying on the floor with his arms all around her and writing little stories and books about Greta. I love cuddling you, and it's just an amazing turnaround.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I mean, sometimes when we're there almost every week when we're at one particular school, if the teachers are passing by and see us, they say, "Oh, it's my favourite day of the week. The dogs are here, the dogs are here." So, yeah.
There's something about it, isn't it? I know we have office days where people can bring their dogs into our office here at RNZ, and there's no doubt about it. It just brings a lovely warmth to the place, and people just can't help. It's a break from the stresses of work just to pet the dog, isn't it? It's wonderful.
Yes, yeah. And see the tail wagging away, and it's just they're just wonderful animals. I don't think we have a full understanding of really what they can offer.
Yes, indeed. And the reading side of things, does he like a good story?
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, he loves a good story. She looks at the pictures and, sometimes she lies down on the floor with her eyes shut and the children say, "Oh, no, she's gone to sleep." No, I say, she's listening to every word. It's great. No, it's really great. I just love it. And the other thing is that I don't have small children anymore to buy books for, and I used to love children's literature and all the fantastic illustrators and so on. So now I'm sort of back in touch with that. So that's another bonus.
Fantastic. So she won the Top Dog with a Job award, and then our boy Muddy, who it's such a wonderful name, so evocative, that name, Muddy. who's met some. Oh, I bet he does. And what was his role as a working dog, effectively, and a top office dog, and around the office, what does he contribute, if you like?
He comes into work with me every day. Mm-hmm. He has a little bed underneath the manager's desk in her office, and he sleeps all day. But the veterinary industry is an incredibly stressful one. We've got one of the highest suicide rates of any profession, and that's not just the vets themselves, but the nurses and our front desk staff as well. So when there's been a bit of a hard moment or a tough case, you'll often find that a staff member has taken Muddy through to our little garden out the back, and we're sitting down having a little cry, and giving his ears a bit of a stroke. And he's a very good listener for times like that.
Just like Greta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might have to swap some storybooks and you could both do the same thing. So I'm intrigued.
He's helped out clients as well. So, yeah, he's an amazing dog for that sort of thing. He seems to have an instinct for it.
Yeah, well, that was I was going to say that I initially thought that his role would be to help those owners, perhaps who might be distressed at possibly the illness or the loss of a dog, because having been through that a number of times, it is such an emotional time that to have a dog around there that you can give a wee pet to is wonderful. But you're saying the vets, as much as anyone, just enjoy that.
As much as anyone, yes. It's so we do really worry about the mental health of our staff in particular. And Muddy is one of the tools that we can use to help provide support for that. So along with a lot of other things that we do, but he's incredibly important for that at our clinic. But
he also is a therapy dog. So can you explain that just a little?
Yes. So we're actually signed up with St John, and just like Greta, we went through an interview and testing process for that. So we have a regular placement that we go to a residential home for adults with intellectual disabilities, and he goes there, and I think he just provides some interest, and we go there for an hour a week, and we sit with the residents, and we oftentimes can get them up and moving when they're not so keen to do that, because they love taking him for a walk or throwing a ball for him in the garden. So, yeah, he's an absolutely ideal character for that.
It's a fantastic motivation, isn't it, to have a dog to just take it for a walk, even down a corridor or something. Just wonderful. So
it is. And the staff there have commented that some of the residents who they haven't seen smile in a week will suddenly light up when Muddy arrives.
That's lovely. Yes.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, it is lovely.
Congratulations to both you as owners and for your decisions to take on these dogs. Wonderful stuff. Obviously, it's paid off in spades, as you mentioned before, I think,
yes.
Catherine. And what's in store? A few treats for Greta and Muddy today?
Oh, well, yes. I mean, she's highly motivated by food.
Retriever.
I did teach her a little trick. I taught her a little trick so that she can actually read two words. She can read up and she can read down. And I just showed them to her on a couple of cards. And I mean, it wouldn't matter what the cards said, actually, but she knows that when she does that, she does it nicely. She gets a treat.
Yeah,
we have to be very careful with Labradors, as you know, I'm sure, Mark.
You cannot
keep the diet right.
You cannot ever deny the power of the Labrador's diet or
they're
hunger.
Always hungry. They're always hungry, yeah.
And thank you, Catherine, for sharing your stories with Muddy as well. It's been lovely to talk to you both, and well done you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Mark.